Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. This is Ingrid Karazinger with the Positive Impact Project, and today we have with us Psychic Medium Fernando Marron, and he's going to be talking to us about his life, a little bit about his work, and we're going to talk about some hot topics in the psychic world.
Yeah.
And he's here to also answer some questions. If you, the audience, have any for us today, just type those in and we'll see what we can do. Welcome, Fernie.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great to have you on, and if you guys have been watching Pip, you'll know that we've been together before. And I think that everybody really enjoyed having you on, so
thank you.
I just figured it should be more of a regular thing.
Yeah. Well, we kept trying to book this, or we kept trying to schedule our time together, and something was happening. Either I was having uncontrollable diarrhea, or she was I don't know, out of control,
TMI.
or TMI. Something was going on, so we had to keep rescheduling. So now we're okay, we're finally back.
So it's great for just to have him on here, and you guys, I hope you're having a great day, and also that you're all doing okay after the big hurricane. So tell me a little bit about that whole thing. I mean, what was it like for you during that time?
So I actually did a video on my webpage. On my Facebook page, I put it out there. But I had several experiences leading up to the hurricane that were interesting. And I'm normally pretty good about listening to my intuition, but sometimes your intuition will kick in and you don't even realize your intuition's guiding you or leading you. So a month before the storm, I had a dream, and in the dream, I was in Houston, and I was in my truck driving. My truck's pretty high up. There's a reason why I have my truck, because I flooded a car before. So, so I was driving my truck in my dream, and there was a lot of rain, and then everything was flooding, and people were just going crazy. And I was like, okay, I need to pull over. I need to get out of the street because it's flooding really badly. So I walked into this house in my dream, and I was like, okay, I'm good. But then the water started to come in the first floor and started to fill up the entire first floor. So then I went upstairs to the second floor, and I could see out the window, and the city was inundated. So that was my first dream. Then I woke up, and that was a month before the storm. And I thought, because whenever you have a dream about water or storm, it doesn't always mean an actual storm. Sometimes it can mean emotional disturbance, it can mean lots of emotion, it can mean pain and all of that. And my aunt passed away a couple of weeks after that, so I just assumed it had something to do with her because of the waterworks. Well, that same week that my aunt passed away, my partner had a dream about his father who was deceased, and his father essentially was showing him an image of a truck filled with water, and then was showing him he was trying to use his truck to guide him away from the shore. It was follow me away from this area. And he didn't understand the dream. And then he was sitting, and then the dream switched. He was sitting in a restaurant, and in the restaurant there was people there who he didn't know, but they were talking about a storm coming and how, look, and in the restaurant there was huge windows, and he was looking out at the shore, and you could see a storm brewing and coming in, rolling in. So he was confused about the dream. He didn't know what the dream meant. Again, I was like, well, that's interesting that you had a dream about a storm and I had a dream about a storm. And of course, even though I'm psychic, I'm a little blonde sometimes, so I didn't click, maybe there's a coincidence, maybe they're trying to tell us something. So,
that's part of being psychic.
Yeah, I don't know what this button does, So that happened, and then that same week, I felt a sudden urge to get out of Houston. I felt claustrophobic. I was I feel like the walls are closing in on me. Everything's closing in. I need to get out of Houston. I just need to be away from Houston. And so I, on a whim, decided, you know what? I'm going to be off for a week. Let me see if the house that we normally stay at in Santa Fe is available. So I just looked online, and I didn't expect it to because it's usually booked months in advance. Well, it was available. And so I was and it was available the 1 week I was off. And I was like, oh my God, this is a sign. This is a sign. It's not part of my budget, but I'll work extra days or something, So I went ahead and booked it, and we I didn't plan it. I just booked it. And 2 weeks later, we were going to Santa Fe. So the night before we left, we were actually joking around, my partner, his mom, and I, because every time we are driving back from Santa Fe, we have to drive through some tropical storm remnants. Because every year, there's tons of tropical storm depressions or whatever, and there's always storms coming in, but there's anything significant. So we have to drive through something, and it's usually around Dallas. Dallas, I don't know what your problem is, but every time we go through Dallas, there's a storm or there's rain. So we were joking about it the night before we left, and then that night I had another dream where there was all these tornadoes spinning around my house, and they were just destroying like the neighborhoods, and there was so much rain, and people were freaking out again. And then I had to like take my partner and the cats and like go over to that side of the house because there was so much like disturbance outside, and half the house was destroyed. And then I woke up, and I was like, okay, well that's an odd dream. That's my second dream about a storm happening, so maybe something's going on here. But it didn't matter because we were going to Santa Fe, so we left the next day. And then the storm...
You were fine.
Yeah, I was fine. And then
you kind of knew what was going to happen here.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, like, the storm like ended up hitting and causing all this ruckus. So, yeah.
So it all made sense at that point.
Yeah, it all made sense at that point. I was like, like, I get it all now. Even though I was so a nervous wreck in Santa Fe, we couldn't even enjoy our trip because we were so nervous and worried about everybody here and the houses and the cats and stuff. But, I mean, it worked out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's what's great about dreams is, you know, you can get a lot of, pick up a lot of stuff. Right. But at the same time, it's not always easy to interpret that. Right. As opposed to sitting down having... you know, conscious choice to meditate and have a vision. Yeah. Be like, I'm asking a specific question
and I'm expecting an answer, and the answer's going to work for me.
Right.
When you're just receiving information, you're waking up, I don't know what that meant. You know,
right.
It's like, okay.
When it's random or a dream, then you don't always connect that.
Yeah.
But that's great. I actually was talking about dream work not that long ago, and one great thing to do for people who are interested in dream work is to just in the morning to write down about your dream, and the more you do that, the more vivid. If people want to have more vivid dreams, they just start becoming more. And I did this for a while, and it got to a point where I was pretty tired when I woke up. It was just
you
like
wake
a
up
whole
more
other
tired.
life.
Like, I'm so used to waking up more tired when you wake up than when you like are sleepy and going to sleep. I'm just like, I don't feel like I slept. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, my husband sleeps with this watch that has a digital, and it keeps track of his sleep patterns.
Yeah.
And there's been some very interesting things happening.
Well, what is it?
Well, one time he went to bed and he fell right asleep, and it said those first 3 hours he was not asleep.
Huh.
So,
that's interesting.
And then last night, he woke up, it was 3 minutes ahead. And he says sometimes it'll do that, and then it'll always be normal. But 3 minutes ahead, he said, you know, when you're in outer space, physically, then actually time speeds up like that. So anyway, just really interesting things that his little watch. And I said, I don't need a watch like that. I'd rather not.
I don't need something to tell me how crazy I am. I know that I am crazy. Yeah.
But so for you, I guess your house was okay during...
Yeah, we were fine. Like, we have video cameras. We actually set up all these video cameras throughout the house just for the cats, because we wanted to talk to the cats and look at the cats. And so we were like totally... Yeah, it's like Fort Knox. And so when my sister came over to check on the cats and everything, she's just, you know, she's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, we saw everything's fine. Do this and do that. And in this room, you know, because we could see everything. But the water just came up, you know, maybe about 1.5 feet. But our house is about 2.5 feet off the ground because it's an old Pyrenean home.
Yeah, that's right.
So we were completely...
Okay, well,
these houses, these areas, because you're in a low-lying area here. So
we didn't have any problems.
Really?
We were in a, you know, where they don't, it's not mandatory, but they say you can leave if you want. But everything surrounding us, kind of up north and down south around us, all had to evacuate and got hit.
Wow.
But this like little area, we were just like on an island.
Yeah, I keep running into people who are in pockets. Pockets.
Yeah. So I guess that's good. And my husband said, because I was like, should we, you know, evacuate? He was like,
I don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, I kind of, it's not that I was this urgency to leave, but I'm like, I'm ready to go. I don't care whatever you want to do. And he's like, it's not going to flood here. Yeah. He's very clairvoyant, and he just...
When he gets it, it's like, it's strong and intense.
Yeah.
He's not like questioning,
For
well,
me,
I'm seeing this, but I'm feeling that.
But this is my thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm more of an empath, he's very clairvoyant, so he can see clearly. But for me, a lot of times my emotions are how I read, and so I can feel sometimes a lot of what's going on for other
well,
people.
You're picking up everybody else's junk.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's leave, but it's not us.
Yeah.
But oftentimes when we go to stores, I will always get in a line where it's actually the slowest cashier.
Yeah.
And it's because I always am attracted to the person needs help.
Yeah.
So that cashier is somebody who's having a lot of issues.
See?
And so he always picks the line now because
Yeah.
he knows the fastest line.
Yeah, that's funny. See, I was just like, where do I stand? Where do I stand? I'm just going to stand here and give in to the universe. I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do with my... And then a cashier just happens to open up a new register.
That's smart.
Bing, bing. You know, and people are looking at me like, I hate you. You just took every... You know, I'm like, sorry about it. You know, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, no, it's...
You're waiting.
Yeah, with the hurricane, like... A friend of mine asked me, she's like, you got out of here just in time. I'm like, it's not like I planned to not be here for the hurricane. And she's like, well, what should I do? Because she lived in Bel Air. And they have a ranch house in Kerrville. She's like, what should I do? What should I do, Fernie? And I'm like, I don't know what to do, girl. I mean, like, I don't know what to do. But if you can go to Kerrville, go to Kerrville. And so she's like, well, you're the psychic. I'm like, yeah, but I am personally impacted by the situation.
Right.
The more you care about the circumstances and the outcome, the less likely you're going to see things clearly because you're all that internal conflict and bias
That's why
and
people
chatter.
love you.
Yes, exactly. So I can see things objectively for other people because I don't care what's going on in their lives. I care about the person, but I'm not invested in what's happening for them. With me, I'm personally impacted, so it's going to affect my ability to sense things clearly. And so I told her, I said, well, I don't know what you should do. You should go to Kerrville, but you know, I don't know what to tell you. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I had a dream last night. This was my dream. She's like, okay, I'm out of here. And so they left, and their area was heavily impacted, so they were heavily hit. And she's like, oh, we're so happy we got out of here. That's good. So I was like, okay, well, it worked out.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Glad to have you on, Amy and Donald. Hope you guys are having a great day. If you have any questions for Fernie, feel free to type those in. He's happy to assist you guys if he can. So we were going to talk a little bit about a hot topic in the psychic world today. What did you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about the backlash of not following your intuition. That's what it is. Because people are way more intuitive than they realize, and they're not listening. And people are always inevitably, I'm sure you get this all the time, people are coming to me and they're like, how do I listen? How do I pay attention? Like, I feel like I don't hear anything. I feel like I don't get anything. Like, how do I tune in? And I'm like, you are tuned in. You're just not paying attention that you're tuned in. But it's every single day, in every way, you are hearing something. You're getting some sort of guidance, and you're not paying attention.
Right.
So when you don't pay attention, especially when it's pretty consistent and loud, then there's a backlash, because then you regret not taking the actions and going with the flow of that guidance.
And I liken it to being at a cafe and you're maybe talking to someone or you're just sitting there and the person next to you at another table is talking to you. Yeah. So that's your guide, right? Yeah. And so because you're not focused on it, you don't realize he's talking to you.
All the time,
So it's really about changing your focus and perspective.
Right.
And saying, hey, I'm going to just listen to something I don't normally listen to.
Right.
The other thing that I suggest to people in classes is doing something. It's a real simple thing, and when they talk to you, they don't know that you're hearing them unless you either repeat what they've said or do something that shows them that. Right. So when we do readings for each other in class, what we're doing is relaying the message of the guide. And once we do that, we get a bunch more messages because they go, oh my gosh, you can hear me.
I got her on this channel. I got her on this channel. Like, and then they start using that channel more consistently.
And they'll keep going.
Yeah.
But a lot of students will sit there quietly and they're getting the messages, but they're not saying anything because they're doubting themselves. Right. And I'm saying, they're going to stop talking to you because they don't think you can hear them. So just say whatever you hear.
Well, it's this idea that I'm supposed to be quiet and silent, and the moment that you do that, all your thoughts stop, and then something like out of the ordinary happens. And it's not out of the ordinary, it's very ordinary. The communication is consistent and it's always there. It's a part of your like internal mental makeup. It's always there. And until you like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to my thoughts. And that's what you do, is you pay attention to your thoughts. There's some of you in there, and there's some of them in there. But the more you become aware of the thought processes, then you start to distinguish the difference between your energy and their energy. And it's very subtle, and it's very interlaced and intermixed with each other. And so the more aware you become of that internal process, then you start to hear the messages. Versus I'm waiting for like some out of the ordinary word. Like I'm going to close my mind, I'm going to shut my thoughts off, and I'm supposed to see a light, or I'm supposed to like see a vision of something, and it doesn't work that way. I wish it did. Like my life would be a lot better. If I could see a ghost or a spirit, which I have, but if I could see them on a regular basis, I'd say, we're doing sign language today, so this is what you need to show me, and I don't know what you're saying. It doesn't work that way.
It's learning a new language.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like when you, let's go to France, and you want to say, where's the bathroom? Or I'm hungry. And you're going to go like this. And they're going to be like, you know, that way. And so that's how they start out. Our spirit guides try to give us whatever they can until we start understanding their language.
Exactly. Well, the natural language of spirit is not vocabulary. It's not words. It's not sentences. The natural language of spirit, all of us, before we even come into human form, the natural language of spirit is thought, emotion, and memory. And so we use our own ideas, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own memories to communicate information. But it's not all, you know, it's not all just identifiable in the moment when it's popping up. You have to figure it out. You have to spend some time trying to understand what it is about that that's becoming heightened for you in your mind. And what it is that you need to be paying attention to. Because I can have a memory flash in my mind, but it's not the entire memory. It's something about that memory that is significant for the question or for what's happening for you.
Well, Amy, hi Amy, Amy Pyro, she was on my show a few months back. Well, she says she would love a reading, so if you want to tune into her.
Okay, so what area do you want me to focus on, Amy? Do you want to ask me a specific question, or do you just want me to like, just whatever I get is whatever I get? I'll give you a chance to type it out. Type it out.
And if you guys want to learn more about Fernie, just go to his website, fernandomarron.com. And he has an amazing YouTube site too, and look him up on there. He has not only, you know, a lot of great information to share, but he's really good at editing, and he's got these beautiful videos, so it's really enjoyable to watch. So go check him out if you guys get a chance.
And Donald, ask a question. Ask me a couple of questions, and then I'll get to them. So,
and then Amy says whatever you got.
Whatever I get. So let me...
You asked for it.
Okay, so let me tune into Amy's energy. Okay, so Amy, first I'm going to start with your health, because I am tuning into what I want to call the throat area. Now, when I tune into the throat area, it could be a few issues or a few separate things going on. I do think there might be some inflammation in the lymphatic system or the lymph nodes. It's funny because I actually get a feeling that you're a little scatterbrained sometimes, and you're trying to do several different things at the same time. And this includes like your dietary like habits, which means like 1 week you'll be like trying one thing, the next week you might be jumping over to something else. And because of this, you're like constantly shifting some of the stuff that you're taking into your system, and your body can't adjust or adapt quickly enough. So it's starting to react to some of the things that you're taking as if it's a toxin or something that doesn't belong there. And so I think that's one thing you need to keep an eye on is your lymphatic system. Maybe kind of doing some lymphatic drainage would be helpful. I get it because I'm kind of the same way. So 1 week I'm a vegetarian, the next week I'm like eating meat like nobody's business, right? So I get it. So like, I need the meat. You know, my partner's like, let's do this. You know, so but another thing that I want you to keep an eye on is your thyroid, because I do feel that there's some pressure here in this area. Now, on a physiological level, I feel the thyroid is having some wonkiness, and the thyroid is connected to like the endocrine system. So we got the pituitary gland, the thyroid, the adrenals, the pancreas, the ovaries. They're all connected to the same system. So usually, if something's going on with the thyroid, there might be something going on with the rest of your system. But my feeling is that, and that affects hormones. The endocrine system affects hormones. But I think that the reason why you might be feeling tired, or how you might be feeling a little over, like drained sometimes, especially when you're waking up and you feel really exhausted, is because there's some wonkiness with your thyroid. And it might be affecting your entire endocrine system, so your hormones might be a little off. So that's another thing that I would say to keep an eye on. So aside from health, I mean, those are the two things that really get my attention. When I tune in to your work and career situation, here's what I will say. I get the feeling that you have a passion. You have something that you're very invested in, that you're very involved in. And I feel that what's happening is there's going to be a little bit of an internal conflict, because you started your path or your career or your endeavors from one angle, but as time has progressed, it's kind of turned into something else, and you discovered you've learned more about what your passion is, and you become a little more specific about what it is that you want to do. But I think you're still trying to hold on to this like other stuff that really doesn't excite you anymore. And so I think it's going to happen. I definitely see you doing a lot more work with people or one-on-one with people, and less under an organization or under an umbrella like company. So if you work for an organization or a company, I don't think that's the area that you would stick to long term. I feel like at some point there's going to be a one-on-one with people, and you doing one-on-one things with you. Now, I have to admit, I don't remember watching anything about you on the Ep3 because I think I saw your Facebook, that was it. So I don't really know what you do. But I think that what's going to happen is over the next year and a half, the idea that you're centering on right now is going to evolve and it's going to change. And I think that you are trying really hard to control how things are going to progress forward, especially over the next year. Be flexible, because I think that someone that is more business and more like logic minded is going to come in and give you a lot of guidance. I think this individual might come in around summertime of next year. This is going to give you a really strong pull as far as what you need to do to refine your business, to refine your passion even further. Follow that guidance, because I don't feel like you're a very practical, logical minded person. I feel like you're more airy and free spirited and like more flighty. And I think that this person's going to ground you significantly and pull you or thrust you in a direction that's going to be very, very important for you. So I would say follow that instinct, follow that pattern. Financially, I think you're going to get a real big boost next fall, August or September. I think you're going to see a significant boost for yourself financially, so much so that you may have to start paying more attention to your finances at that time, because once you have, sometimes when people have, they're used to a certain level of like finances or dealing with money, but when they get when they go into a different mode, it's like, and I went through this myself. It's like once you start to have more money than you're used to having, because you've always been like scrapping for food. Well, I mean scrapping for food. But when you go to a certain level, all of a sudden you start to struggle finding a new balance. And so I would say is find a new balance with your finances right now, because once fall of next year comes around, you won't be like rushing to catch up, so that you can manage your financials a little bit better. So that's what I would say about your finances. But definitely, you need to pay more attention to what's going on with your own passion, because next summer it's going to change.
Thank you, Amy, so much for tuning in and asking questions.
What does she do? What does she do? I don't even know.
So she does a few things. She does oracle readings, but she has this biomat and does this healing.
Okay.
She definitely is trying to work more one-on-one with people. That's something that she's really working on creating her own business.
Yeah.
And you're right on about
so
that.
with the biomat stuff, that's what you need to focus on. And not only that, I almost feel like you're afraid of you're afraid of people judging it or not understanding it fully. So what I see you doing is in the next, I would say right after the holidays, you're going to do a series online that is video based, kind of like this, but except you're going to go through you're going to discuss different issues people have and what is beneficial for them using this mat or using this, because it's going to create kind of this is what this does for you, this is what this does for you. And you're going to get a lot more comfortable with online and social media, because you're still kind of trying to grab a hold of that. You're still not understanding that fully. But without presence, people aren't going to know that you exist. And I see you doing a lot more of that, especially right after the holidays.
Great. Thank you, Amy. And thank you, Fernie, for tuning in. So I also, I guess Donald wanted more of a general reading as well.
Donald. Okay, so Donald. So first of all, I will say this. You have to start taking more responsibility for your energy, because I feel that right now, it's really hard for you to focus on you, because you keep being impacted by other influences around you, whether it's family, whether this is friends, whether this is work, but you keep being impacted and affected by the individuals around you, and you're not sticking closely enough to your energy. And I think you might be trying to be too flexible and accommodating to other people. I don't think you want to disappoint other people, and I think that that's hurting you, because it's not allowing you to honor you and to pay more attention to your personal needs. So I think that's one thing that I would highly recommend you start to work on. There's a really great book by Cheryl Richardson. It's called The Art of Extreme Self-Care, and it teaches you how to pay more attention to your own needs and less attention to the needs of everybody else, because you're essentially being energetically prostituted by everybody else. They're using you up, and then you have nothing left for yourself. So you're drained, and you're going to not have enough energy to get out of the place that you want to get it out of right now. And this is what I say is, sometimes when my plate is really loaded and I have too much to deal with, the things that I want to focus more on, I don't have enough energy left over for those things. And so once I start to clear my plate and take things off of my to-do list and say no to people, all of a sudden I have all this extra energy, and then I can be creative. I can be filled with that kind of creative energy that is going to help me to do something new. And I think that you're really ready to do something else or something new in your life, but you're just sticking to what you're used to, what's normal for you. And I think that as the year progresses, you're going to get really great opportunities, especially around the holiday season, to say no to people and to start to set up boundaries and to have clear expectations for what a relationship will be and won't be. And if you can start to work on that, get the book, work on that, you'll start to see change in your life. Because I think you've been stuck in a rut for, I almost want to say like 2.5 years. So I feel like it's just been 2.5 years of like kind of the same kind of scenario or the sticky situation that's just been looping around you. So that's what I would say about that. And that affects personal relationships as well. So that's just not family and friends. We're talking about romantic as well. I mean, that's just a theme that you're trying to work past right now. I feel there's going to be some changes with a vehicle within the next couple of months. So I think within the next 2 months or so, there are going to be some changes with the vehicle, or some changes regarding a vehicle. So it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to change a vehicle out. You might just make some changes regarding a vehicle, whether it's the insurance policy, whether it's the money that you spend on a vehicle on a regular basis, and maybe like going and getting like a change with your payments. But something's going on in the next couple of months or so. I also feel that there's an understanding and an agreement about your living situation right now, and I think that's going to change next spring, and it's going to be better for you. But it may require you to step outside of your comfort zone and potentially look at other opportunities or other options for you as far as your living situation, because there's something that's just, I don't feel is working for you or may not be ideal. And I think that once this change happens next spring, I think it's going to it's going to give you some more opportunities for like happiness, really, and like for you to be able to do something just that's more you and less about other people. So that's what I was feeling about that. I'm trying to scan your body, and I keep running into. I don't know if you were born with a heart murmur or heart like flutter, because I keep feeling fluttering in my heart. If you were. Be mindful of your blood pressure, because I feel like your blood pressure might be affecting your heart. And it's not that the heart is the issue, it's the blood pressure is the issue. And I think you need to pay attention to your blood pressure. So. And
also, he was on my show too this last year, and he has been on this basically getting fit journey, changing his life habits. Okay. And he's been helping coaching other people with that. But he's had this whole journey he's kind of had on social media and things like that.
So the blood pressure, like I said, I don't think the heart is the problem. I think it's your blood pressure. And what I think is going on is that you're putting way too much pressure on yourself, and things have to be a certain way. And there's a little bit of control freak in you there, and that's okay. I'm a control freak too, a happy control freak. But you need to not put so much pressure on yourself. Things are going to progress forward. It's just a matter of you knowing your limits and knowing what you can and cannot do. And I think that will improve or help your any kind of heart-related condition or issue.
And thank you so much, Donald, for tuning in, asking questions. Are you up for another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got Sherry. Okay. Sherry would love a reading too. I guess we're doing some general ones if you're good with that.
Okay, Sherry. So, Sherry. Okay, so Sherry, I feel like there's going to be a lot of change in your work environment. Okay, so as we near the end of the year, I feel like whatever your work situation is at the moment, as we near the end of the year, especially around November is going to be a very significant period, because there may be a lot of conflict in communication within your work situation, where you are getting your information or you are communicating with one individual through your career work situation. And then there's going to be an additional individual that you have to deal with. And I feel like it might create some confusion or some misunderstanding around what's supposed to be happening, what's not supposed to be happening. It is temporary, so you just got to hang in there, because I feel that this is just a temporary situation for you. Once the end of the year comes, things slow down, and then the new year brings a lot of like positive flow. So I think that any kind of disruptions in your work situation are going to smooth out. I also feel her energy's like Amy's. It's like there's a passion that she has that she wants to devote 100% of herself to.
I can tell you about this
too.
too.
And then she's like, there's just like this. It's like a rubber band. It's like you've got your passion here, and then you've got your practical. Like I've got to work. I've got to earn money. I've got to do this. So there's just like back and forth rubber band effect that's happening with you. And I think that you've been struggling with this for a while now, and it keeps being there because. I think it's weird. Faith. You need to work on faith, because I think you're so trying to see it happen a certain way, or to see this take off in a certain way, but your faith isn't there. You're not putting enough faith in the universe and life to make it easier for you. You think you're the only. So I think in life you've only been used to you having yourself, to being there for yourself. I think you're used to carrying heavy loads, and I think that you are not used to being vulnerable and to allowing others to be there for you. And because of that, I think what's occurring is that you are so used to depending on yourselves, and I'm guilty of that, is that you don't ask for help, and you don't expect it. You don't expect help, especially from the universe. So you're just trying to figure this out, and I think that what's going to happen is that life is going to keep giving you hints of where you need to let yourself be more vulnerable, where you need to just kind of not worry about this and just focus on that. If you've ever seen the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, the main character, Frances, she goes to a different country because she's trying to find herself. Her life fell apart, and she's trying to find who she is. So she buys this house on a whim, and she doesn't know what to do except fix the house because it needs to be fixed. So she starts fixing the house with these dreams, with these desires that she has for herself. One being she wants to have a family that's there. She wants to have a wedding there. She wants to be happy there. So there's all these different things components that she wants. And so she's so worried about trying to get those things, and that she's trying too hard. And I think that you might be trying too hard sometimes. And what the advice that she got from her friend, who's just nuts but funny, is stop worrying so much and just work on your damn house. And so she did. She started working on her damn house. And so sometimes it's good to have a vision for yourself, but sometimes the vision can get in the way of you aligning with universal resources. And what I would suggest for you is don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what you're trying to create for yourself on the grander scheme of things, because the universe has a bigger plan for you anyways. Just focus on the work. Focus on the work. Focus on the work. If you focus on the work, then the resources will come. The opportunities will come for you to be able to pull away from this practical need to make a living mindset over into your passion, and doing that more consistently so that becomes your full-time thing.
And Sherry is one of my graduated students through psychic work, and she's actually really trying to get more into that type of work herself. But she's also, and she has a lot of creative things she's doing that are like, she makes these beautiful bracelets that are more intuitive. They're supposed to help you develop. But anyway, she's really trying to go in that direction right now.
So here's what I get the feeling you're going to end up doing. First of all, I wrote down healer. So you can see that, healer. So I think you're a natural healer. And I think your job is to help facilitate healing for others. Do you ever heard of painting with a twist, where people go, they show up, they drink wine, they paint something, and they pay their amount? It would be nice for you to maybe look at something like healing with a twist, where people can go, they can take part in a group activity of creating something that reflects their pain, that reflects their healing process, and then just interact with others who are going on the same thing, and you are making a profit from that because you're facilitating the process. So I think that would be a great, idea that maybe you can look into that might be able to.
I love that idea.
Yeah, healing with a twist.
Awesome.
And sometimes you can do that where you do group events or group activities where you do that for groups of people, or you can do that for hospital systems where people are healing and in physical therapy. So healing with a twist.
Great. Thank you so much, Sherry, for also tuning in today. So I'm going to give you one more. How about me?
Okay, you. Okay, so...
I don't get read very often, so... okay. And then I can do you too, if you want.
So... Energy. Okay. So... Okay, so I feel that this spring you are going to have an opportunity to visit California and participate in some sort of a group-related activity or panel or lecture series, something like this. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be through someone that you know. I think that this is a great opportunity because it's going to open up more communication and connection to people that could potentially start to work with you. Because I think that your vision of yourself is I think you're starting to see your personal limit, and then I think that there's something bigger than that. And I think what's going to happen is these people are going to have a different idea for you. And so what they're going to want to do is maybe work on something with you, and that will essentially open up another avenue for you as well. That comes up in springtime. It's very interesting because it's more personal growth.
I've been feeling like
it's
something
less
like that.
Psychic work, it's more personal growth. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with that as well. Now, do you know if you have an iodine deficiency?
It's possible.
Okay. So sometimes when you have an iodine deficiency, people develop like lumps in the neck here where the thyroid would be at. They feel tired, they feel exhausted, they're moody or cranky. And it's because they're not getting enough iodine. And whenever I always thought iodine was bad or like horrible for you. So I always go to the store, buy the salt that says no iodine, not realizing, I kind of need iodine, Mm-hmm. So I think that there might be a couple of deficiencies. One might be iodine, and that might help to boost your energy levels.
Yeah, we lived overseas growing up, and we always used iodine to put in the water before we drank it.
Really? Oh, how funny. Okay.
Make sure it was clean.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah. So. Okay. So, I also feel that in regards to your current setup with your husband and your children and you, I feel like you're gonna have to work on a plan next year for they being more involved with their father than with you, because you might not be as available, and I think you're going to have your hands full, and so you might have to work, and they may just be more used to being with you or more accustomed to spending time with you, but there may be some changes that are happening where you might not be able to spend as much time with them because you're going to be focusing on other things, and that might be a great opportunity for them to have even more of a bond than they currently have.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So I was going to ask you, since you did these great readings for everybody, if you wanted me to do a little one on you. Are you up for that?
No, I'm open.
I might
open
as
and
well
receptive.
reciprocate.
I'm open and receptive. Love a bubble, love a bubble, love a bubble.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a question, or do you want me to do a general?
Yes, I do have a question. Actually, I have two questions. One's about me, one's about someone else.
Okay.
Okay. So I have permission to ask this on behalf of the other person, but what do you see happening with my sister's work situation?
Okay, great.
Any changes?
What is her name?
Irene.
Okay.
I call her Reenie, but
All right. So I see her moving. It's not like she's going forward with where she's at. I see her moving to the side, which almost feels like a different position. Not necessarily a different place, but it's just like a little sidestep over here. So I feel like what she needs is to get out of the situation she's in. Okay. That it's not necessarily the work as much as it feels more like who she's dealing with right now. Okay. And feeling like she needs a more nurturing environment for herself when it comes to work. So I feel like what she's going to do is be in a position where people are going to support her more. And I feel like there's going to be more money involved as well.
Okay. She'll be happy you said that.
It definitely feels like on all levels, a step up. So she's going to be happier. I still feel like what she's doing career-wise is not necessarily where she's getting her joy. Yeah. It feels more like she's good at it, and so she just does it. But I feel like she has other passions. I feel like she's a physical person. I feel like she needs to be outside. She needs to be doing things that are movement-oriented. I keep feeling sports and things like that, but I think she needs to make sure she fulfills herself in other ways. If she can't change that work situation necessarily, she should be doing something very physical.
Okay.
And that's going to bring her the joy that she needs. A lot of people are kind of in a position where they can't necessarily change their whole career, but you have to balance out your day. You have to be able to find that passion and joy, and then everything's fine.
Right.
You know, you don't have to be miserable. Okay, so the other thing is, for her, I feel like she's had trouble with her confidence level and really giving herself the respect. And so she might be seeing that from other people, not necessarily respecting her or giving her the support she needs. But it's really an internal thing. So I feel like that's something that's changing, and she's really trying to build her confidence or her self-esteem when it comes to, I feel like, all aspects of her life. She's had a huge growth spurt with that. But she's going to see that. She's going to see a lot more respect and people giving her more responsibility because they're going to see her worth.
So some feedback. Let me give her some feedback. So what I think is interesting is that you were talking about her, you know, she's doing something right now that she's really good at. It's not her passion, which is true. Right now she's in IT, and that's what she does. But she's not got a traditional job right now because she was part of like a mass layoff. Yeah. And so she's been finishing up her degree, her other degree. She's had like 17 different degrees, but she's finishing up her degree, but she's doing an internship. And it's a non-paid internship. Yeah. So she's like, here I am doing the internship. I'm not getting paid for this, and I need it for my degree. But at the same time, it's like I would rather be working and doing my.
But it's building her confidence.
It is building her confidence, and she's getting to know the right people through that. But she also does CrossFit, and that's one of her passions. Okay. Working out with like heavy weights and doing that. And I think she gets a lot of joy from that. So you're right on the money. And I'll tell her that because she needs to know.
I almost feel like she would be teaching some kind of physical activity at some point.
And that's what I thought would be good for her too. I thought, why don't you look and she's considering or pondering becoming a trainer because she's thinking that maybe that might help her pass this path.
I see her working one-on-one with people in a physical way, so I think she's going to do it at least part-time, maybe not full-time, but...
Yeah. So let's see, Stephen has a question. Let's see. Stephen, my sister... Caroline is going through a rough patch. Can you see if there is light at the end of the tunnel for her? So she's going to have to take responsibility for herself and her situation, because I feel like she kind of put herself... It's not like she went out and caused herself harm, but I think she set herself up for this to occur, so it's not a surprise to me. But I think what might be coming up is around December, there's going to be some changes for her. Two things that are going to change for her is a personal relationship is going to change. The dynamics, something is changing about this personal relationship in December, which should be an improvement. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is I feel that she needs to find a way to make herself calm and peaceful without needing someone or without needing anything to help her with that process. Because I feel that she's not found an ability to be calm and be at peace and be okay without needing something outside of herself to do so. There may be a little ADD or a little bipolar or some depressive personality traits there that might also be affecting her. So medication would always help with that if she really needs the help. To stabilize her, but I think that she needs to work on ways of sustaining herself without needing others to do it for her. And I think that that's something she needs to work on. So that's a personal thing she needs to work towards. But then also the personal relationship changes in December, and I think she does need to take responsibility for what's going on because I feel like she set herself up for this to happen. And so now it's like, okay, what did I do? What can I do to clean this up? And I think she's got to take more responsibility in that way.
Thanks, Stephen, so much for tuning in. Earlier, he said on here that he loves your YouTube as well.
Yeah, he's my muse with some of the videos that I do. I'm like, I'm thinking of Stephen when I make this, and so I'm like, I'm specifically talking to him. So,
and you know that happens. I'll have somebody ask me a question, either in a reading or online, and then that'll spring on a whole topic. Like, yes, I need to really address this. Yeah. So everybody's that we work with always helps us to learn too, and come up with new ideas. So thank you guys for doing that. So real quick, if you want to go back to, you had one other question. You were asking for your
Yes, so that was my sister. I totally got off on myself. Okay, so my question is, so I am planning a move, okay? Now, the plan keeps changing because there's so many options for our move. I think I've asked you about this before, but I want to get like an update on this.
Okay.
So our plan is we're going to move to Santa Fe next year, which is why I'm all video and phone now, because I'm going to be so flexible and so, be traveling a lot more. But the plan is to move to Santa Fe next year. However, we're not sure if we're selling our house or we're going to keep our house, and then at the same time, there's just so many components that we could move and rent out our house, and that would work out for us, or we could sell the house, use that money to really, get a place that's amazing there, we don't know. So, and right now, Santa Fe is the only thing on our radar.
Okay, so this is really interesting, but I was just talking about that with my husband today because it's something that I have been thinking about since you said it.
Yeah.
That I want to take over your house.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That I want to rent it out.
Yeah.
So this question may be affecting me a little.
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
Because we both were interested in renting it out.
Okay.
So, and maybe using it for. A couple of things, but anyway, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that later.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard
if
to
you guys don't know,
I see myself in your house.
Yeah, I have a really cute house. It's like 100 years old, and it's like an old pier and beam, and it's like right in the center of town.
It's a great location.
And like right now, I have like 15 people lined up to rent it, and I have not even said I was gonna rent it.
Everybody wants
it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this place, and so it's trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't want to just say, I see myself in your house. And
okay.
He's like, okay, we'll talk about it later. Okay, so Lily, she's also one of my graduated students. I woke up with a nightmare last night, feeling afraid, and I need to hide under the covers. But now I wonder if someone was actually in the room. Nightmare or not normally for me. Any ideas?
Okay, so sometimes when you feel like someone's in the room with you, it's actually not someone, it's you. Because we so often disconnect from our physical bodies. Our soul is just this little ball of light. All the pictures of orbs that you see, that's our spirit. That's our spiritual energy. That's just a little ball of light. And so we are only using our physical bodies while we need it. And so when we are I actually think the purpose of sleep is not to rejuvenate the body. I feel like the body could run continuously without any need for like stopping and taking a break. I feel like the body could run continuously, but I think we sleep because our spirit cannot handle being so confined here for so long. And so it's our spirit's way of freeing itself temporarily, giving itself a break from the physical reality of the world. And so sometimes when you are asleep and you feel and you can feel different sensations. You can feel vibrations. You can hear swooshing. You can hear like different sounds in your ears. You can feel like you're vibrating. Some people feel coldness. Some people feel a heaviness across their chest, like they're being held down or they can't move and they feel kind of paralyzed. Many times people automatically assume, oh, there's an evil entity here and it's trying to control me or it's trying to keep me from being able to move or it's attacking me. And that's not always the case. It happens sometimes, but more likely, more times than not, it's you disconnecting from your physical body. So as your spirit disconnects from the physical body, it has to go through a process of disconnection. So all the sensations that you're feeling are your spirit trying to elevate its vibration to vibration, is trying to free itself from the physical body. So you're going to feel a frequency change. It's a pressure change. And so as that happens, all of a sudden you're aware of a presence, the presence of your body, you, and then there's you. So which one are you? Because you still have connection of the body, but it's not affecting it. It's not interlaced with all of the neurons and all of the nerves and all that. So there's a disconnect that happens there. So your body's kind of in stasis mode at that point, and you disconnect and your spirit starts to do what it's going to do. Sometimes it sustains itself on a different wavelength called the astral plane. Sometimes it goes higher than that and goes into the other side. It just depends. But sometimes what you feel, that presence in your room, that presence over your body pushing you down, is not an evil entity. It's just you coming out of you. And because you cannot control the physical body, what you're going to start to feel is just a lack of connection with the body, which makes you feel like you're paralyzed. So I get the feeling that what happened was you were astrally projecting, and I think that when we astrally project sometimes and we're conscious, and you can learn how to do that. There's a Robert Monroe. He was very Robert Monroe or Raymond Moody, both of those, they did a lot of out-of-body work. But you can learn how to consciously astrally project. It can be kind of scary because you don't know what's happening and you suddenly become aware of different vibrations, different planes of existence. And sometimes you can experience things on that level in those planes. So it's very interesting. But I think that your dream, your nightmare, was just when you disconnect and you're suddenly faced with yourself. all of a sudden, in a short period of time, it's like everything serves as a mirror, and it starts to reflect back to you all of your anxieties, all of your worries, all of your fears. And so I think you disconnected. I think that you started to become aware of yourself, and then I also feel that you immediately became you reflected back to you your own fears and anxieties. And so that's where some of the nightmares were. They were based in some of your fears.
And we had a couple questions come on here. Michelle asked a question. We're trying to auction off my mom's house and farm, are in a lawsuit with a farmer that is on the land. Do you have any information on what the outcome might be?
Yes. So I feel that what's going to happen is that you are trying one approach with this, with the attorneys, or with the way you're proceeding with this lawsuit. I think you're trying one approach with this. I think November is going to signify a change in that approach, and I think you're going to go based off of the recommendation of your legal team. So I think there's going to be a change in approach at that point. I feel this is going to be resolved by February. I know it's a period of time, but I feel that by February you should most likely be done with this. I think you are going to have to offer some sort of financial compensation to this individual because of it's almost as if, it's weird. It's like they're going to be claiming that you're essentially destroying their business. And that's the angle they're going to come from. And so it's almost as if you have to financially compensate this individual for putting them out, even though it's property that you're connected to. So I think that the change in direction happens in November based off your legal team's recommendation, and then in February, all of a sudden you're going to have a lot. You'll resolve this, and it'll be done with. I don't think it's going to go to court. I think it's going to stay in mediation. I think that's as far as it goes. You'll resolve this in February, and then you can move forward with your plans.
Thank you guys. I know there's a lot more questions, but we're going to actually wrap up our show. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Remember, you can just go to FernandoMarron.com and contact Fernie here if you want to go ahead and get a reading with him. He can do it by phone.
There's so many ways of doing readings with me. Yeah, so you can go to my website. You can book an appointment. I think if you book an appointment, you can book a phone session. You can book a video call session, which is really popular nowadays. I also offer e-readings, which is essentially if you don't have the time to sit and talk to me, which I get, people get busy. You can just purchase it, write your questions, and then I can respond via text or via video. So you actually get a video back, me answering your questions. So that's another way of doing it. I am inspired, and I've been inspired by this one here, to start my own online Facebook live readings as well, where I'm like, hey guys, ask me some questions and I'll answer for a little bit. So I might be doing that as well. So stay tuned.
Wonderful.
Because that will be fun.
You guys are lucky. That's a lot of great stuff right there. So yeah, just contact him if you guys still have questions or we weren't able to get to you today. You're gonna have a lot of fun with just hanging out with Fernie, and be sure to see his YouTube channel if you haven't. Again, thank you for watching Positive Impact Project. We are working to put a spotlight on those who work to better humanity, to help basically make this world a better place. So if any of you have know somebody, or you are working in service, even if it's you're a musician and you're following your heart, we love to hear about that. So please let us know if you want to be on the show in the future. Thank you, Fernie, for coming on.
Welcome. Thank you.
It's always great having you.
Yeah.
I know, we made it happen. So thank you, Zeta. We love you too, and we'll see you guys in the future. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.